questions.
The mic's are on.
This is a lot of trees.
Hopefully the tree friends aren't here to hear us say that.
We definitely figured out the mic thing, didn't we? You guys can hear, I was walking in one day, somebody was talking.
Yeah, it's a lot, it projects a lot better now.
We can hear you good now.
I had a friend of mine tell me that. Yeah, I heard you up there talking.
Yeah.
He goes, I heard what you said.
Was this before the meeting?
Wouldn't want
I think I.
Why is it so thick, right?
We need a big red sign that says Mike's hot.
You're gonna be here for a while.
That's why you're gonna get 2 cookies.
Didn't know that happened.
Well, I got part of it in, but I'm hoping by next meeting.
Yeah, no more than it shows up there when you watch
You guys
movies.
still want us to pursue that hybrid meeting option? They came out with some new thing that's supposed to pick up the sound better. I know before it's never worked well, but I'm gonna test it this week and try these new ones, see if I can do a better job.
You know what? I think we should talk to the place at the high school, because the school board meetings, I don't have to go to the school and I can watch those online, and, however he's running those, I mean, they have it down.
Well, he's been too busy for us, but now that school's gonna let out, hopefully they'll have some time.
I mean, it'd be nice for us to have that option. I keep hearing Channel 17 still doesn't work, or, I mean, people don't have another, other than waiting until it's over, they have no way of watching.
Is he running those on YouTube?
It's on YouTube.
Is it on YouTube? Yeah. Is that?
That's what I'm hoping with, so these will be spread out, and it's really weird, it's actually called the OWL. I don't know what that stands for, it's OWL something. But it's supposed to be a whole large room like this, capable of picking up all the audio in the whole room, and it like directional, somehow it's got AI in it, if it hears your voice, it turns the speakers towards, I don't know. We'll see, I'm gonna try it out. It wasn't
The way
crazy
they're
expensive.
doing it over there at the high school, it works really good when people are like giving reports and stuff, I mean, just however he's doing it.
Is it like, does it change the person when they speak?
Well, there's a camera on every board member, and then there's a camera on the speaker, and then like when the speaker's giving a presentation or something, it puts up their graphics and goes through them, and
Do you know,
and
do
then
they
it
have
goes
like
to
a
whoever's
person
speaking.
there, like doing that, or is that Phil stays and does it?
The reason I say, I think it's Google. I think Google does that, because whenever you've ever had a Google meeting, or if you've ever gone on to
Google Meet or whatever.
Google Meet, and then what's the other one that's real popular? Teams, you get on the Teams, it'll focus in on the person who's talking, and then if they present, it keeps their presence. That's what you're talking
But
about.
it's really nice to watch, like it's viewer friendly.
Yeah, ours now is not very viewer friendly.
What's up, Leslie?
Harvey should be here tonight. We could ask him, because he's on the school board, on how they do that, so I'll check with them and see. He might have some insight. Is it working? I'm trying to do the same thing, sometimes it don't work so well.
It helps me do well. It has a good reputation.
That's right.
People tend to listen to you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm supposed to be thinking about now that I've come back to rain and,
You know?
I'm gonna meet with that guy.
Yeah.
Got a first discussion. They didn't have contacts.
What's up?
You get this guy here.
How's your day going?
No.
Anyone's interested?
It must be important if Black showed up as well.
What do you say?
I said it must be important if you showed up as well.
Question for you,
I have not heard yet. So, the question is, it hasn't been helpful. I heard what I say. Not understanding about it.
house, well, she looked at me like we should do it.
Kind of organized there.
His sister probably.
Yeah, she said she wanted to do it again this year, so I was just wondering if anything to talk about.
Good evening, I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Buchanan City Commission, Monday, May 23rd at 7 p.m. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and will you please join me in the pledge of allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we have roll call, please?
Dennison.
Here.
Whedon.
Here.
Downey.
Here.
Money.
Present.
Swam.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. We need to amend the agenda, or is this already been amended?
Basically, I just put on their recommendation to table it. So that'd be simpler.
Just get to that when we get to it. Do you have a motion to approve the agenda?
Sean makes that motion.
Thank you, is there support?
Money support.
Can we have roll call, please?
Whedon.
Yes.
Downey.
Yes.
Money.
Yes.
Swam.
Yes.
Dennison.
Yes.
Carried.
Thank you. This time I'd like to open a public hearing on the city's budget for the fiscal year 2022-2023. Want to preface this in any way before?
Sure. So at this time, we are recommending and putting before the public a budget with the allowable millage of 16.9793. That is different than what was earlier published in the Berrien County Record. That previous amount was 17.6 mils. This is a reduction, so this will be recommending and approve a lower tax millage for the citizens of Buchanan. Again, that millage currently being proposed this evening, 16.9793 for general operating. Also a reduction in millage from 1.00 to 0.9846 for dial-a-ride. Both millage reductions are because of a law called the Headley override and how it works in conjunction with another law called Proposition A in Michigan. There's a very long, complicated legislative history going into that, and I can go into that for anyone who so desires, but suffice to say, we're forced to do this by state law. So it's not anything that the city commission is choosing to reduce the millage for dial-a-ride or anything like that. And the reason that's the case is actually wonderful news for the citizens of Buchanan, and that is that our tax base grew exponentially more than the rate of inflation, which, as you know, the rate of inflation is quite high. I'm sure everyone's experienced that. So we've had a very productive year for property growth in the city of Buchanan, and because of the much larger increased tax base, we're able to effectively subsidize the tax rate for individual taxpayers. So great news for everybody in this room.
Sorry, I guess I was supposed to ask for a motion. Would someone like to make a motion to open the public hearing?
Sean makes that motion.
Thank you, is there support?
I'll support.
Downey.
Yes.
Money.
Yes.
Swam.
Yes.
Dennison.
Yes.
Whedon.
Yes.
Does anyone wish to make a public comment regarding the city budget for 2022? Okay. Seeing none. Let's consider closing the public hearing. Would anyone like to make a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll move to close the public hearing.
Thank you. Is there support?
I'll support.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Money.
Yes.
Swam.
Yes.
Dennison.
Yes.
Whedon.
Yes.
Downey.
Yes. Thank you. Let's move on to public comment on agenda items only, please. If you'd like to make a public comment, please make your way to the podium and state your name for the minutes. Anyone wishing to make a public comment? Twice. Okay, seeing none, we're gonna move on to item 7, consent please.
Swam,
I just have a question actually. I noticed, Mike, maybe you can help with this one. We bought 6 weed eaters last month. It seems like a lot. I mean, rough spot on weed eater.
Every single one of them that I had was in the shop getting worked on.
So they're just getting repaired.
No, we bought brand new ones because we needed them. The ones from were bought when JT was here. It was time to trade them out. We still have them because we have people that use them, but the parts are so limited to get parts, I really didn't have a choice.
Just wanted to notice in there. I'm fine with that.
So we have a motion and we have a second. Roll call, please.
Swam,
Yes.
Dennison,
Yes.
Whedon,
Yes.
Downey,
Yes.
Money.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll move on to reports by departments, committees, and boards. Starting with our community development director, Rich Murphy.
Evening, Mayor, Commission, members of the public, Rich Murphy, Community Development Director. A few items for you tonight. First, we have Red Bud Roots up for their 2022 renewals. You might remember Red Bud Roots does their renewals in 2 cycles in January and in May. So they are up for their renewal of their adult use processing license and their medical license at 155 Coast Road. I have received their applications and find them to be complete and in good order. They have submitted their required annual permit fees, and I have submitted the background checks to Chief Gaines and his office. So I would be recommending for approval tonight, contingent upon those backgrounds coming back, okay, to the satisfaction of Chief Gaines. And additionally, Alice from Red Bud Roots is here, if you guys have any questions.
Does anybody have any questions for Alex or Director Murphy? Someone like to make a motion on
Sean will make a motion to approve Red Bud Roots adult use processing licenses for 455 Coast Road.
I'll support. Thank you. Your roll call, please.
Dennison,
Yes.
Whedon,
Yes.
Downey,
Yes.
Money,
Yes.
Swam.
Yes.
Carries.
Thank you. Was that for?
That was for
Yeah.
You don't have to do another spiel for that. I appreciate it. Sean will also make a motion to approve Red Bud Roots medical processing license for 455 Coast Road.
Thank you. Is there support?
I'll support.
Thank you. Your roll call, please.
Whedon,
Yes.
Downey,
Yes.
Money,
Yes.
Swam,
Yes.
Dennison.
Yes.
Carries.
Thank you. Next item, we have Michael Walpole, Limited Craft Market. He is our micro business. He is up for his 2022 renewal permit at 303 Carroll. He has also submitted his application. We find it to be complete. He has submitted his annual payment fee as well for the license. Michael and Roy and his family have been in regular contact with me, updating me on their projects. They are moving forward. However, I know they periodically the commissioners have questions, so they did want to be here tonight if you guys had any questions about their status of the project and timeline. Additionally, I have forwarded their background to Chief Gaines, and I would recommend approval contingent on the backgrounds coming back for the satisfaction of Chief Gaines' department. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Murphy or Mr. Walpole?
Swap them?
Yeah. I have a vote.
Sorry, I just wasn't sure which one was which. So are you guys up and going? What is the status of the project up there?
Currently, we are waiting for the state to approve our mechanical drawings right now. They said it would be about 2 weeks. We're a few days out from a month now. Manchester Mechanical, George with them, and Kevin Barker submitted them. They're both surprised it hasn't been back, but as soon as that is approved, we have drywall and crews waiting for, we can cover up all the walls, and we have all, material, all, everything's ready for that, so that's our final inspection to cover the walls and get everything else up, so that's where we're at right now for that.
Our hope is late fall. And as long as that inspection and everything go through as planned, which so far these past 3 years haven't, but that is our hopes, is late fall, early winter, is when we hope to have it open.
Any other questions? Anyone like to make a motion?
I'll move to approve 2022 renewal permit for Walpole Limited Craft Markets Micro Business Permit for 303 Carroll Street.
Thank you, is there support?
This is my support.
Thank you, roll call please.
Dennison,
Yes.
Whedon,
Yes.
Downey,
Yes.
Money,
Yes.
Swam,
Yes.
carries.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Okay, next item, is the B&W redevelopment liquor license. So I have been before the commission a few times updating you on the path that the city has prepared, that we see for businesses to obtain, apply and obtain a redevelopment liquor license via the state of Michigan. We have done everything on our end, per the statute, to prepare the requirements by the municipality. And as I've shared with you, I have begun to reach out to businesses who may be interested in taking this path and submitting the application to the state. I have talked to a few applicants so far. One of them, B&W B&W principal Sam Vahikov, he has prepared his application. He has the required documentation from the city of Buchanan. The one item that he needs is for the local unit of government approval, which is the resolution that you have before you tonight, that is included with his application to the state. So if you approve this tonight, we will have the clerk notarize or certify the resolution. I will give that to him. He will then submit his completed application to the state, which will include all his documentation, his payment, all the items, the criteria that the city had to prepare about establishing a redevelopment liquor license, and the thresholds of development that we had to certify, that we were able to certify in terms of dollars spent in the last 3 years in the redevelopment district. And then it will be submitted to the state. And when the state receives it, we hope to hear an update that it is approved, or and then we'll know a lot more about where we stand with liquor license. So this is kind of our first application that we will send for this path to the licenses.
Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I have some questions here.
Okay.
First of all, why is his application not complete as far as what we were given?
I believe you were given the entire application more than once. I know I sent it email. There's Form 100, which is a state form that he completed, and then there's Form 126, I believe, that he completed. Additionally, I think I included the attachments for the city, which is the affidavit from our assessor, as well as the map for a redevelopment district, your approved resolution. So I don't know of any other pieces that were included. I don't believe he is supposed to.
It's the resolution that I have to fill out if they, so that's the blank part, it's just the first part of the resolution, but I can't do that until they decide,
Okay.
so. that
Yeah, I
might-
mean, it's a stock resolution. I mean, that's kind of how we did the last one. All he needs to do is fill in the name of his entity, and he's already done that on the other two pieces. So this is pretty much, I think, how we.
Okay, so going back, the affidavit for his attempts to secure a liquor license is in there?
He has to prove that to the state. The state will not submit it. his liquor license, and they don't really identify how exactly you have to do that. But he has to somehow document that he has looked on the open market, he has, contacted the liquor, Lara, and there's no available licenses. So I don't, that's kind of their, specifications, I don't know exactly how they're going to prove that. What we're trying to do is give him everything he needs to be able to submit his application to the state.
So
They won't approve it if it's not complete.
So our responsibility is to create the environment for him to apply, and then agree that his physical location is an acceptable location, and then any additional due diligence is on the state, or do we have additional measures we have?
Yeah, I mean, this was similar to the social district that we did for, hometown video. It's a law that's written that gives the local unit of government a heads up that somebody's applying for a liquor license. And if you see any reason that they shouldn't apply at that address, you would have the power to not give your approval. In this case, I think the charge is that, as far as I've been communicated to me, we want to nurture an environment of restaurant and retail. So we want to try to get these tools to the investors. He's closed on the building. He wants to get a license. He's trying to land a restaurateur. He's talked to this person. Everyone wants to know if he's got the liquor license. If he doesn't know that, he can't move forward. So this is that local mechanism.
And I would say the way Commissioner Swem described it is exactly correct. The due diligence is further on the part of the state to review the application, not the city. If, again, the review at this juncture, just the address, is found to be sufficient by the city commission, the rest of the review is at the state level, not conducted by us here, not our area of review.
So after this, we're done, we don't have another say.
That's correct.
Okay, so are we applying the $1 million per 1,000 people in the city? Are we using the sewer, the new plant out there to justify that 4.5 million?
No, I think we're using just commercial and residential development.
That's when we got the sign off already on from the building inspector and the assessor.
All the figures are included, including down to the actual permitting, and, Heather and I both reviewed it, and, the assessor has signed off. So,
I think part of that was taken into consideration though for the investment in the treatment plant, but not the commercial, specifications, but I do believe that was part of that calculus to some degree. The assessor will be able to answer that more readily.
And the business has to commit capital investment of $75,000 before the license is issued?
Again, all of that's determined by the state, not us.
And if they don't follow through,
The state will not issue the permit, correct?
I have no more.
So I'm going to approve resolution number 2022.05/434 for redevelopment liquor license of B&W SVV Entertainment Holding LLC at 116 Main Street.
Thank you, is there support?
I'll support.
Thank you, can we roll call please?
Whedon,
Yes.
Downey,
Abstain, conflict.
Money,
Yes.
Can I ask what your conflict is?
I think my business, either if I vote yes or no, is a conflict with this.
Sorry.
Swam,
Yes.
Dennison,
Yes.
carries.
Thank you. Then I'm okay with you. So we prepare that resolution, certify it. Okay, last item, I just wanted to give an update on the zoning update project. We had a great day, all day Friday, a public engagement, a series of public meeting, or series of meetings with stakeholders from members of the public, including the downtown stakeholders, the Northside Neighborhood Group, the Buchanan Preservationist Society. Then we did have a joint meeting between commissioners and Plan Commission and Barb. And we reviewed the objectives of the project. We asked a lot of questions, introduced some ideas, tried to get a feel for where there was consensus on the project. I know not everyone was able to make that meeting, so I am available to follow up with the commission on more details on some of the items that we talked about. But I think that the overall feeling from Professor Andrew Von Mar and Susan Henderson of Placemakers was that there was a lot of consensus, much like the feeling that we felt throughout the Vision for Buchanan project, is that people are open to ideas that may help us guide the vision in our zoning document. From here, we will the team will go back and kind of create a first draft, and they'll be back within 6 to 8 weeks with draft number 1, at which point I will re-engage everybody, the city commission, plan commission, the stakeholder groups, and basically they want feedback on that first draft. Overall, I'd say our approach is we're updating a 20-year-old document. We're not wanting to come in and rock Buchanan's world and change everything here. We want to tighten things up. We want to protect Buchanan, update, the zoning with 20 years that have happened since the last round of zoning. Just to give you an example, solar is not in our zoning code right now. So there's lots of examples like that. But I think it was a great first meeting. It was a kickoff. There'll be more opportunities to engage in the project, and I'm excited. This is a long-term project. This could take anywhere from 6 to 9 months, hopefully not longer than that. But I think that it will help Buchanan anticipate and guide the next wave of development that we see coming, and be able to do it in a way that we want, and that our community wants to see happen. So with that, I'm available for any questions on that.
Is there any timeline on when we'll see the first draft of?
They said 6 to 8 weeks. They said 4 to 6, but I'm gonna say 6 to 8 just because.
Inflation.
But they did encourage us, once we receive that, that's when they wanna hear feedback, so. So I will be in touch with you when I have it. If it's 6 weeks,
Okay, any questions for Mr. Murphy? All right, thank you. Moving on to item B, City of Buchanan Municipal Building Authority. Our city clerk.
So, we need to just recognize that Stephanie is removed from the building authority. When talking with Roger this week, we do only need 3 members, which you guys appointed, myself, Heather, and Rich too. So, but we do want the recognition that she is no longer on that board, so we just need a motion to remove her from that.
So we'd like to make that motion.
This is Money. I'd move to recognize the removal of Stephanie Powers from the City of Buchanan Municipal Building Authority.
Thank you. Is there support? I'll support. Thank you. May roll call, please.
Downey,
Yes.
Money,
Yes.
Swam,
Yes.
Dennison,
Yes.
Weedick.
Yes.
So the second part of that is setting terms for myself, Heather, and Rich, as the appointed authority commission. So myself, I would be serving until July 30th, 2022. Rich would be serving from July 30th, 2023, and Heather serving from June 30th, 2024.
My only question is, how would we ever appoint new people, and how would that happen, and how would that come about, and when would that come about?
So you could either at any time state that you wanted the bylaws amended to add,
additional spots, like a larger than 3-member board, if you wanted to grow it and add members that way. Or we could just tell Roger that we wanted to change, the commission would put on the agenda that they wanna change the membership, and there would just be a vote to whether you're taking someone off and replacing them with somebody, or, either option, really.
So just,
It's always up to the
God
commission.
forbid, one of you were to leave, but so like, if she were to leave, do we gotta do city clerk, then we would just
You would just
put
do a
that person
similar
in
thing.
her place.
Yeah, you would just do a similar thing, we just put it on the agenda, once we knew that's what was happening, and one of you would make a motion to remove whoever's leaving and appoint the new person, similar to this. We're just not replacing her because
Right.
Roger said it's easier since it can only be a 3-member board,
Right.
so.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Make a motion?
John will make a motion to establish the following terms for 3 members appointed to the City of Buchanan Municipal Building Authority. City Clerk Kyle Langston shall serve as Commissioner of the City of Buchanan Municipal Building Authority for the term ending on June 30th, 2022. Community Development Director Rich Murphy shall serve as Commissioner of the City of Buchanan Municipal Building Authority for a term ending on June 30th, 2023. And City Manager Heather Grace shall serve as Commissioner of the City of Buchanan Municipal Board Authority for the term ending on June 30th, 2024.
Thank you, is there support?
This is money I'd support.
Thank you, can we roll call please?
Money,
Yes.
Swan,
Yes.
Dennison,
Yes.
Whedon,
Yes.
Down.
Yes.
Carried. So the last thing on the list is a resolution to consider approving resolution 2022-05-435. It's approving the city will proceed with the Municipal Building Authority project, which creates a funding mechanism for the new DPW building.
So are we approving, we're not approving any dollars and cents or anything in this, we're just, how is this working?
It gives them the authorization to go out and get the final dollars and cents that will be presented to you for final review and approval.
Okay, so the city commission still has to sign off on how much, okay. So I move to approve resolution number 2022.05/435 to have the city proceed with the municipal building authority in the manner presented.
Thank you, is there support?
I'll support.
Thank you, can we roll call please?
Swan,
Yes.
Dennison,
Yes.
Whedon,
Yes.
Downey,
Yes.
Meyer.
Yes.
Carried.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to Public Safety Director's report, Mr. Tim Haynes.
So I'll start before Tim comes up to the front here. I wanted to introduce this proposal as I work on it as part of the budget. So what we're seeking today is the naming of an active chief of police. And in this instance, we're seeking to name the Honorable Dr. Harvey Burnett, which I'm very proud to say is with us today. We're strongly, myself as city manager and current chief Tim Gaines, both strongly recommending that he be named to the position of acting chief of police effective this evening. The naming of Mr. Burnett as acting chief will allow Gaines and myself to formally post the open position of police chief, allowing formal applications from other interested parties, with the goal of having the commission vote on the permanent naming of the new Buchanan chief of police during our June 27th, 2022 meeting, in order to enable a July 1 effective date. In turn, this would also enable the city administration to begin the work of fully transitioning Gaines to the full-time role of dedicated director of public safety, as was discussed during previous city commission special meetings and work sessions.
Mayor, commissioners, I guess at this time, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, city manager.
Do you have any questions? Was there questions about?
I had some conversation with Tim about it, but I think as we continue our budget-related discussions related to what the director role that Tim will have going forward and what that includes in his job responsibilities is another conversation we're gonna have.
Do you guys have any questions? Would you like to make a motion?
This is money I would move to appoint Dr. Harvey Burnett as the acting chief of police for the city of Buchanan
and authorize Tim Gaines to continue serving in the role as Director of Public Safety.
Thank you. Is there support?
I'll support.
Thank you.
Discussion.
Yeah.
Patrick, can you elaborate on your discussion a little bit with Chief Gaines?
Yeah, so the discussion was related to, what we talked about on Saturday, and that there's still questions as to what the Director of Public Safety job responsibilities will fully include, which we have yet to decide that as a board ourselves. I think that conversation will happen further, whether that's another work session amongst all of us related to full-time staffing of city employees and how many we're gonna hire and what they're all gonna do, and how hiring somebody or not hiring somebody impacts the responsibilities of Mr. Gaines's position. So nothing more than what we talked about on Saturday was discussed with him, just bringing him up to speed on that, and then we still have questions related to the go forward of how much he'll be focusing on the police department, additional responsibilities related to any fire department related activities, whether that's working with neighboring communities or within the current fire department group that we have. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. That would be it.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Are there any other comments, questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Can we have roll call, please?
Dennison,
Yes.
Whedon,
Yes.
Downey,
Yes.
Money,
Yes.
Swam.
Yes.
Carries.
Thank you. I think the SMACus topic, we were going to table until the.
Yes, I would recommend tabling that. The next meeting, Brian Scrivener does plan to attend. He's the executive director for SMACus, and he would be wanting to present that himself and answer any questions the board may have. At this time though, if I may be so bold, I would like to personally recognize both Tim Gaines and Harvey Burnett for their amazing and dedicated service to the community of Buchanan in many multiple roles that they've served throughout their career. And I'm very thankful for their willingness to explore this new chapter with us. And I appreciate everything you gentlemen do. Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Tim, and
Appreciate
congratulations,
it. I just want to say thank you for the opportunity for this new role, and I'm looking forward to serving the community, serving the board, and the city manager in this new role. And as always, I will work hard to make you guys proud of not only myself, but the police department and the fire department, anything that I put my hands on. So thank you for the opportunity, and I thank the citizens for the same opportunity to serve the community. So.
Thanks.
Congratulations, Harvey.
Yes, congratulations, Harvey.
I forgot.
Do you still have time?
Harvey wanted me to mention the DARE graduation. He can talk about it another day.
No, I was just gonna say DARE graduation happened last Thursday, and we would like to congratulate our students that graduated, about 125 of them.
Excellent. Thank you for everything you do with that program.
Yes, absolutely.
Got some work to do now, bud.
Just for fixing those, can I get a motion to table until the next meeting, the SMACus portion of that?
Sean makes that motion.
Is there support?
This is money I support.
Roll call, please.
Whedon,
Yes.
Downey,
Yes.
Money,
Yes.
Swam,
Yes.
Dennison.
Yes. Okay, moving on to item C, the Buchanan Area Recreational Board report.
So I wanted to share with the commission that at a recent meeting of the Buchanan Area Recreation Board, the membership did by majority vote recommend to put before you the bylaws included in your packets. They're seeking approval at the commission level of what they have recommended be approved as a board to govern their bar group moving forward.
Anybody have any questions or comments?
Pretty straightforward.
Standard bylaws, yeah.
Would anybody like to make a motion?
I'll move to approve the amended bylaws submitted by the Buchanan Area Recreation Board as presented.
Thank you. Is there support?
Swam support.
Thank you. Can we have roll call, please?
Dennison,
Yes.
Whedon,
Yes.
Downey,
Yes.
Money,
Yes.
Swam.
So as per the newly approved BARB bylaws, there is an open position that would be seeking to be filled. An application was submitted and reviewed by the BARB at their last meeting with the majority vote recommending that the commission consider for approval the application of Kate Heiliger, who would be serving as a Township of Buchanan board member on our joint Buchanan Area Recreation Board.
Thank you. Someone to make a motion?
Is there a resume in that packet? Might have missed, I might have overlooked that one, I thought.
I didn't see it.
Oh, did it come out in the bylaws packet?
Yeah, no, she's very active with the township, parks. She does a lot of, they do like garbage cleanups and cleanup weekends, and she's very active doing that in the township parks. And then she found out the township was joining the BARB, she wanted to be a part of it, and, honestly, she'd be the perfect candidate, so. She has a unanimous decision by the BARB.
Always looking for volunteers.
That's right.
I'll move to appoint Katie Heilinger to join the Buchanan Area Recreation Board.
Thank you, is there support?
This is money I would support that.
Thank you, can we do roll call?
Whedon,
Yes.
Downey,
Yes.
Money,
Yes.
Swam,
Yes.
Dennison.
Yes. Okay, moving on to the Buchanan Area Fine Arts Committee report.
So no action is required on this agenda item, however, the Buchanan Area Fine Arts Committee, or BAFC, wanted to share with the public and the city commission their current budget report. So that is presented before you today in your packets for your review. Again, no action needed for this item.
All right, thank you.
I thought that was great to get that actually. They didn't have to do that. It's
We're
nice to see.
encouraging all our boards to start providing that information.
Yeah, that helps us understand what's going on and what we may be a potential need one day. So, thank you to them for that.
I'll convey that to them.
Okay, moving down to public services report. Mike Baker.
Good evening, everyone. Mike Baker, Director of Public Services. Reached out to Scott, talked to Scott a few different times. He's telling me that there may be some differences in the paperwork that we were given originally to the updated paperwork that he didn't send in an email, so we can't find with numbers. He's telling me that his numbers are about $20,000 difference. I asked him to be here tonight. I don't know what happened. He didn't show up. Other than that, I don't have anything to report on 3rd Street.
His numbers are $20,000 different, how?
So,
Like higher or
I
lower?
guess he gave, supposedly he brought to us, when we went back to bid for the whole project and had to get the Eagle permit, he brought an updated quote to us.
Was that after we'd already approved Selge to do the work, or?
I think when we went out for the Eagle permit, Self was already on doing the work. And then they brought a revised quote with the 6-inch ductile iron pipe on it, and then the only thing that they changed was the 8-inch ductile iron pipe.
But why would they do that if we just approved them based on a quote they'd given us like a week prior?
I wish Scott was here to answer your questions.
I got a few answers here. I talked to Scott too. He said that Eagle added some things that weren't originally anticipated, a hydrant, some extra pipe, I don't know.
Those are on that
Are
quote.
they on the one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought that was most of the difference there.
Those were items that were completely added at the very end of the budget. I left my paperwork in my work truck and didn't bring it with me. So that was Eagle that did that part. But then they had their added cost of fuel surcharges and
Have you had more discussions with them about the pipe that we've already bought, that he now wants to charge us more for?
that, we already own that pipe. I think the cost was added in on that
Yes.
original, or the quote that he gave us now, but we already own the pipe, so they can't upcharge us for that. I think they just put in the updated quote, or the updated purchase of that pipe.
Yes, because when we went back to the bid, that's what, you guys had approved it when you bought it.
When he came and presented presented, he indicated that the price had already risen since the first approval. So that part was, approved a second time by you guys at the higher level.
That was back in May 9th, was that the, is that something like?
Heather, how much have you been involved talking to this guy?
Not a ton recently, because recently he's not been communicating with me when I reach out, he's generally unavailable.
I think you need to have a conversation with the next person above him, and this is starting to get out of hand. That's what I think.
It just seems a bit awful muddled, like I don't understand why numbers keep changing. I mean, I can see what happened when we gave the initial approval to do the work on Third Street. And then they went for permits, and I can see Eagle saying, oh, by the way, while you're doing this work, you have to do this, this, and this. So they had to add some things. But now I feel like no one has a clear view of the first quote where he was up against Greens and someone else, I can't remember. What happened after they met with Eagle and where we are now, I feel lost.
That's the part we're struggling to understand as well, and whenever we've tried to set up times for him to go over with us, it's not worked out that, he was supposed to be here again tonight, and it just keeps not working out.
We are picking up pieces. Cal and I keep going through the meeting minutes from August 10th on to try to see if we can piece it together and figure it out. Like I said, the problem is that Scott may have dropped off an updated quote to us that went through somewhere, but he never emailed it to anybody. I don't know.
What is he saying about the schedule to do the work?
They're still on schedule to do the work in, what, June, I think he said he had an opening?
He's not responding to my request.
What did I tell you last time? Was it June he was planning on coming, I believe?
Yeah, I thought it was mid-June.
But they're waiting for us to say either we're doing it or we're not doing it. Like I said, we don't really have a choice. The road is, and, but I mean,
Has
you
he
guys
asked for a PO?
Yeah.
Have we given him a PO?
We have told him to get us the purchases that he needs and it will get approved as he needs them.
Okay, well, when I talked to him, he said that he's been waiting for a PO because they can't put us on the schedule until they know exactly what they need to do.
And I've shared with him over the past several months, if he gets that to me, we'll approve it, but he keeps not giving it to us.
I think you just need to talk to the supervisor and get it straightened out, because we're not getting anywhere yet.
I'm happy to do that.
Sure. Scratch my head, I don't get it. Somebody's not doing record keeping or somebody's not. I don't even know what to say.
In our
We need to get
conversation,
street fixed.
he told me that it basically was falling on him because he is pretty sure he brought us updated paperwork like we all
Well,
had.
he's pretty sure that someone in the building ought to be able to find it.
I don't have it. I don't know if it ever made it here.
To my knowledge, it did not. He had requested paperwork from us in the hard copy of the county legal permit, which I had sent him scanned copies of, asked if he wanted mail. He said, no, leave it up front with my name on it, I'll come pick it up. It sat there for a couple months. I called him several times. He finally came by. I gave it to him in his hand. And then another month went by and he reached out to me and said, I know you gave it to me, but I can't find it in my office. So
Can we do this? Can we make this a priority for this week? And I will be here to meet with Scott and tell him to bring every quote he's ever written to the city of Buchanan. But we need to figure it out this week. And he can't not show
I
up.
tried to do that
Or
last
we'll go to
Friday.
him. I'll go to Selja's
I
building.
tried to get that Friday and we couldn't make it happen Friday and I begged him to come tonight. So, he was supposed to be here tonight, he's gonna let me know.
He was supposed to come to a meeting last Saturday, our special meeting.
I
Did you
think-
arrange that with him?
Oh, I did, yes,
And he
but then,
canceled on Friday?
I canceled, yes, because I was told that Sean didn't wanna talk about that on the special.
We didn't have enough time. I mean,
Right.
these guys left before we were really even. I mean, we could have talked for 4 hours just on the budget. I mean,
I
that's why I
understand,
said.
I get it.
Yeah, that's why I said we just couldn't do it Saturday, but I don't know, like I'm a little frustrated because I don't understand why we can't get him to give us good pricing that we can all understand. It makes no sense to me. So if we can just make that a priority this week, I'll do whatever I can to be here to help you, but Norma wants that street fixed.
yeah,
I want
I
Big speaker.
Yeah, I feel the same way as Patrick. If Scott can't get it to us, I think we need to go, one person above Scott, be that Scott Martin, but,
I don't even know.
the owner's name, gosh, can't think of his name, but, we need to start talking to him because this has been drug out long enough and
The prices are,
granted, they're busy and, the prices keep changing. I'm glad to see we got the piping taken care of, since we owned it, so.
Yep, we can do that.
You're gonna talk to them. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
okay, moving on to new business.
So-
Adoption, oh, sorry, go ahead.
So, on behalf of the finance department and as pertaining to the previous public hearing, I'm presenting this evening a fiscal year 2022 through 2023 proposed Buchanan city budget. It focuses on a tax millage effective rate for general operating of 16.9793. Additionally, for dial-a-ride, millage set at 0.9846. There are copies available online as well as printed copies on that back board for anyone who's interested in reviewing it. Commissioners have copies as well electronically. I know there was one issue in particular I received a comment on today that perhaps the commission wanted to discuss in more detail, and that was 101-000-000-675-000, which is sales of city-owned real property. Currently budgeted for an anticipated annual revenue of $750,000. That's the only comment I've received thus far, but I'm open to discussing any other components that the commission wants to review in more detail. And for those who are curious, fiscal year 2022 through 2023 has a time period of running of July 1st, 2022 through June 30, 2023.
So just on that, the $750,000 for selling of city-owned property, Mr. Swim brought that up to me today because I thought during the meeting Saturday that we were all kind of agreeing that we didn't see that actually happening in the next fiscal year. I mean, some of it may take longer than that. So we felt a little more comfortable being a little more conservative and taking that number out of the budget.
Okay, so taking it, zeroing it out, okay.
I think so, just to be more realistic, I think.
That can be effectuated, so zero that out.
So still working through some of those figures, I noticed about $250,000 in additional sale of equipment. Does that sound correct?
I'd have to go through, but
I
that's
believe it
probably
was.
accurate, yeah.
Yeah, so I just am struggling with essentially $1 million worth of sales. And our budget surplus at the moment is less than that, so
Okay.
that's a struggle. But help me understand, we have to approve this at this meeting for state requirements and the ramifications of changes or anything like that before I make any other commentary.
Yeah, so, that particular number was recommended by Plant Moran. They pulled that figure rather than me inserting that number, so I just based it off of, Julie's recommendation, going back and reviewing these historical numbers for that. But you're accurate that tonight, for state requirements, we would need to get a budget approved. However, that doesn't preclude us from, even at the very next meeting, amending that. And we do have, now that the consent agenda has been approved, we will have a new treasurer for the public's awareness starting very soon. Her first official day is anticipated to be Tuesday, May 31st. Her name is Deborah Perez, previous treasurer for over 10 years at the city of Fenville. So we're excited to have her on board. Once we have that more capacity in our finance department, I would anticipate we likely will have much more deep dives into items like that. And that can be number one priority to review that one.
So with that being said, I would like to get another work session on the calendars. I think a week or 2 weeks is probably too immediate, especially making sure Ms. Perez has sufficient time to dive into it, along with edits you're going to want to make. So with that being said, I'm having a hard time wanting to approve adds to staff and wage increases, fully wanting to do raises because I know we need to, but it's hard for me to envision approving that with what we have at the moment.
Okay, the only problem with that is that's tied to so many different line items. I can't, like, on the fly in this meeting make all those changes. However, if we can vote it as in this and just
know that we're not going to effectuate any of it, because none of it actually is effectuated till after July 1 anyways. So we'll just make a note that we will not effectuate any of it until we've had that work session, a chance to further review it if that's satisfactory.
Well, I know, if I can, I know we were, at the meeting Saturday, we talked about asking the city attorney to look at,
Yes,
certain
that's-
things.
Yes, that's been requested.
So
already.
could that, I mean, that could be part of our next work session, how we figure out
Absolutely.
what Commissioner Swam is concerned with.
Correct, because that was
I
already in my
agree.
mind pending an effectuation until we received that opinion anyhow, so.
Okay.
One other thing, this is more paperwork wise, so when we start adjusting the budget, could we get it in like an Excel format?
Absolutely.
Trying to tie some of the notes to the other section.
Mhm.
And just trying, I was having a hard time piecing some of that data
Okay.
together, so.
And I think in addition, it allowed us to make the adaptations and then have some speed adjustment and then see how those tie back. As much as you said, there's a lot of things that are affected by those changes. Well, we can make those changes personally.
Absolutely, we can do that,
Justification's easier.
not a problem.
Thank you.
Anybody have any other questions or comments? Anybody like to make a motion?
So how do we wanna make that motion, Heather?
So you can either make a motion to approve it as presented, or if you want to, you can make a motion to approve it as presented with amendment. So for example, you could say the amendment is to amend the sales of city-owned real property under revenue in general 101, and then list that section number, and I can read it aloud for you, the 101,000, and so on, to zero out the 750,000 with that one word on it.
I think Commissioner Swim would like to make that motion. You got that one?
Yep, I got it.
Are you gonna know it, and then we're not, sorry.
And then we won't effectuate any of the rest of it until that work session, absolutely.
It's open for discussion.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you. Is there support?
I'll support.
Thank you. Can we have a roll call, please?
Downey,
Yes.
Money,
Yes.
Swam,
Yes.
Dennison,
Yes.
Whedon,
Yes.
carries.
Communications?
None this evening.
No. Okay, this time I'd like to open it up for public comment on non-agenda items. Anybody would like to make a public comment, please make your way to the podium, state your name for the minute.
Who's first? You or Reese? I'm surprised no one did each other.
Hi, my name is Shelley King. I live at 320 Elizabeth Street, Buchanan. I have a disabled son. I also had a heart attack on Easter Sunday. My next door neighbors, we need some type of a noise ordinance in Buchanan because they built a hot tub in their backyard at 10 o'clock at night until 1 o'clock in the morning. There's raw sewage in their basement that we can smell in our backyard all day long. And it's becoming a nuisance. They pull their vehicles in the front yard to shine their lights in my house all night long. They walk past my house and shine flashlights in my windows for no purpose at all,
Have you contacted the city police manager?
numerous times.
So those incidents are being looked into, also, reports were sent over to the city attorney. But, so they are being looked into.
And the sewage matter's been addressed by that department as well.
And Shelley, if you'd like to do a follow-up interview with me, I'd be happy to meet with you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wish to make a public comment? Come on, Norman.
Norma Ferris, 304 North Oak. I contacted Comcast today as a resident and asked them when we were going to get Channel 17. The girl that answered said, that's really not what I do, and I said, then I want to speak to your supervisor. I want an answer.
Thank you for doing that, no? Anyone else wish to make public comment?
Good evening, everyone. Frida Hughes, 306 Richard Street. And, I'm here about sewer lateral. I've replaced all of the laterals on my property, which I assumed I was responsible for, but I'm still having issues with backup. And it has to do with the laterals that go up under the street. I have been informed that as a homeowner, I'm responsible for that. Now, I don't know if I'm the only ignorant homeowner in here that didn't know that up under the street, I'm responsible for also. I am a senior, I'm retired, I don't have those kind of funds. In my research, I've found that there are different cities that have programs for lateral repair. They charge each citizen a certain amount, is added to their water, sewer, whatever, each month. If we don't have a program like that, we need to start something, because that puts a huge financial burden on your senior citizens, also homeowners. No one has that kind of money laying around to be repaired. And I've sent an email to the mayor, he's looking into it for me. But as a homeowner, and I don't know how many homeowners realize that they are responsible for those laterals that go under the street and connect to the main. Is there any type of, ordinance that states that the homeowner is responsible for it? I don't know. I'd like to see that if so. And I was also informed about a report that was done years ago. I believe it's a SAR report. I don't know if that's correct, SAWR possibly. And it showed that the infrastructure there on the north side is in really bad shape. Is that report available to us on the north side so that we can see it and know what's going on? Because my home is not the only one that's having issues with sewer backup. I believe she lives on north side.
Nope.
If you live on Elizabeth?
I'm on Elizabeth,
Yeah, that's north side.
but there's only
Elizabeth.
one house on our street that's,
There's
it's been that way
there's
since
more
before I moved
houses
on.
on there that's had sewer issues, that's had to have their sewer lines dug up, repaired. Some even went into the street, I understand, to have theirs repaired. So north side, we're having issues with sewer, with streets. There's a lot going on the north side. And I want more attention given to the residents there on the north side. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. And just to address you real quick, you're not alone, and it's not just the north side, unfortunately. And I'm so glad you came to the meeting tonight, honestly. And I hope you share with your neighbors and friends that the entire city's infrastructure is falling apart. And that's why the city is strapped right now, trying to figure out how we're gonna pay for it. And so we have some really difficult decisions to make in the next couple of years. And it really comes down to what we need and what we want. And none of us wanna be drinking out of bottled water. I mean, we see what's going on in Ben Harbor, and it's a real problem. And I don't wanna be doing that here. So we're all in this together, and we need to figure out how to fix these problems and cut expenses where we can and pay for these things.
Are there any
So-
type of grants or anything out there?
Well, we're actually, just recently, we started working on a program, and you might be able to speak to this better, the one that would help homeowners who are in financial need in order to upkeep on their homes and stuff like that. I don't know if that would cover some of that work.
So yes and no. So yes, there's grants that definitely that we're applying for.
Well, I know
We're
fortunately,
currently,
I'm eligible for VA grants because my husband, he passed, but he was a veteran. And I'm eligible to apply for VA grants, but then trying to get estimates on repair is an issue also. But there's homeowners I know that don't have access to VA grants and support from the VA. Most homeowners don't have that type of money laying around, and I'm sure there's a lot of homeowners who are not aware that
I would wager that you're likely very accurate in that statement, that most folks aren't aware of that.
What was the estimate, just out of curiosity?
I don't have an estimate, I was told anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000 to have that repaired. So I'm waiting, I've got calls into 4 different companies, no one has shown up yet, so.
Yeah, and you're gonna need to be patient, because contractors are just ridiculously slow right now, in every line of work, unfortunately. But I don't know, do you know what I'm talking about? You were just talking about the other
Yeah,
day.
so there's programming out there, it's mostly related to water, unfortunately, rather than sewer. But there are programs available to help people who are either in a low income situation or have disabilities, or there's lots of different qualifying factors that people can apply to receive assistance through a wide range of different community organizations. And we do have lists up front, though. Again, unfortunately, most of those are water related as opposed to sewer typically. But you and I had discussed, and it's more of a public policy decision, but the programs you had referenced that are available in other communities, generally the way those are effectuated is they would calculate an amount that they want to aim for to create sort of a pool of money that's available for assistance upon application to individual residents who find themselves in that situation. And where that pot of money comes from, unfortunately, per state law, can only come from the city's own collective water sewer rates. So that would require, usually in situations like ours where you have a division of fees based on both gallons per use and ready to serve fee, typically there's a tack on for the ready to serve fee, an additional dollar amount calculated to be dependent upon how much you're trying to raise, that goes on to every resident's bill, and then that money is set aside in that fund to assist homeowners who are in that situation.
Let me switch my hats here for a second. Have you made your application to the VA for that?
I can't do it until I get estimates, I have
You-
to
you
have
got
2
it, yeah.
estimates
Okay,
before I can submit them. I've got the application filled out, I have everything I need, all my paperwork, DD 214, I have it all, death certificate, I have everything except for my estimates.
okay, if you have problems with that, to get a hold of either myself or Marvin Pruitt on that, and we can help you with that. I just wanted to.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to make a public comment?
Afternoon, everybody. I'm James Busby, I live on the north side, 319 Elizabeth. Just to follow up with what Ms. Hughes said, is there a time frame? You just spoke about the 3rd Street frustration. Well, Elizabeth Street has been warped for the past 10 years. We've complained about it to the last administration. Nothing has been done. So I'm just wondering, why is that taking so long to be addressed? We've had our mail lady has complained about the dip. We've had a little kid fall in that dip. And Mr. Murphy almost twisted his ankle in that dip. And I believe it was Mr. Baker, or somebody from the city that came out and did a semi-attached job on it. So just wondering, why are certain things taking so long? There's some potholes. Seems like every time you call, there's just a delay. I don't want to throw shade on anybody, but my biggest frustration is getting a timely response back when I leave messages. Sometimes no response at all. Been a member of this community all my life, with the exception of living in St. Joe for 25 years. So I'm just wondering, is that in the near future to get Elizabeth Street repaired to?
Okay.
And also, in addition to what Shelley was saying earlier, had a confrontation with, well, not a confrontation, but a discussion with our mail, not our mail guy, but our trash guy a couple of weeks ago. Since the new neighbors have moved in, they have an abundance of cats, stray cats at their house. This is the house with the sewage issue. And of course, some of you may know that the trash man won't pick your trash up if your trash is ripped open and underground. So of course, the cats get in the trash. So what can we do to address that issue too with the people with the stray cats? And also now we have 3 homeless guys, I've been told they're meth heads, who are hanging out on the north end. One was caught eating out of my trash can. And if you know meth heads, if they start eating out of trash cans, they'll be breaking in your house next, breaking in your car or whatever. So I won't take the long ball and ask, cause that's what we got those two fine gentlemen over there. So just wanna throw that out there as to how we can address those issues too.
The house next door to me with the sewer issues also is full of cockroaches. So they're winding up in my house as well.
Anyone else wish to make a public comment?
Thank you, Mr. Barker.
Yes, sir.
Oh, you're gonna fight?
You're gonna fight Jeannie there. Jeannie's faster than C.
It's a record.
Because they can't take any.
Good evening, my issue, and I guess it's more
Because
because
I have a
on
line
your
on the
side,
porch, and they
one of
said
my
I
issues
can't
is
set
code
it anymore
enforcement.
because right now it's.
You know, when we call
I'm sorry,
because
Jean, I'm sorry, 1 second.
can't
Ma'am,
even-
ma'am, if we could just wait while we have a speaker, please. I'm sorry, go ahead, Jean.
One of our issues is code enforcement. When we call about vacant lot, to tall grass, or whatever it might be, you know, we don't always get a quick response. So, we have an advocate group now. This is not all of us, but we've decided that we need to come together to try and get some of these issues resolved for the North Side neighborhood because it's going on too long. And, one of the things that I wanted to ask about is code enforcement. You talked about the new safety director. Does code enforcement come into play with this, or is there a code enforcement officer? You're shaking your head, yes, there is?
There is.
There is, okay. So, in talking with the group, I have a proposal for the north side. And I know that Rich and Heather are trying to do some things, you know, to better the north side, make it look better, to entice people to come here, and we got a lot of vacant lots to build nice homes there. And I know we cannot do an HOA, we cannot charge fees, but could we, as a group, working along with the, code enforcement officer, could we have the authority to say, get paperwork, when we see property, weeds are too tall, lots of junk and trash in the yards, can we write this homeowner up and give this information to the code enforcement officer? Perhaps that would speed things along, I don't know. But that's just something that, you know, we're kind of kicking around and talking about. You know, and we're willing to do that, you know, for our north side neighborhood.
We appreciate it.
So can you take that into consideration?
We will, and I'll address it at the end of the meeting, yeah. I will.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mrs. Harris.
All right, it's your turn.
Ready to go?
Quick.
Jim Cronin, 302 Lake Street. I was down in the hardware store the other day and I ran into Mr. Baker. Had a little conversation with him. And I was telling him, since he's taken over, it seems like things are running smooth. It seemed like it did. Our snow removal was good, our leaf pickup was good, and it just seemed like everything's doing pretty good. And he said he appreciated that. And he said, I wish you'd tell the city commissioners. As the Sleepy of 20, don't tell the city commissioners.
The real story.
Tell him. And that's it.
It's funny, because I was gonna ask how much money was involved in this.
Well, now you know he's a cheap date.
Steve Rutherford, 1504 Bond in Niles. Come in about a month or so ago asking how to file a complaint against a business and was told I had to come to a meeting. So I'm here tonight to ask what I need to do to file a complaint against Witherell Auto Body. They were operating in the township over on Chamberlain. My wife and I had a vehicle there, and we had it for a couple of years, but we had about 17,000 into it. We asked him several times before we even took the vehicle to him if he was insured, and he promised us he was insured. Well, his place burned down, it has been a year and a half ago, December, and they're refusing to pay us. I found out they didn't have insurance, but he opened up down the shop operating with no impunity. You know, he operated a business for I don't know how many years without insurance, got, burned our stuff and several other people's. Now he's running a business over here like nothing ever happened. I wanna file a complaint on that, just make it public, people need to know who they're dealing with. He lied to us quite a few times through this process, and I found out some other information that I need to talk to a fire department about. I don't know if it's Buchanan or the township that I need to speak to, but there's somebody I'd like to speak to about that.
I appreciate the comments, thank you very much. Anyone else wish to make a public comment?
Norma's back.
Norma is back. Norma Ferris. I want to talk about having a public hearing if we are going to have these problems with repair. I already know our streets in Buchanan are in bad shape and we're just waiting for the state to say, fix them. I didn't know I was responsible for the street. I've lived here several years. Could we have a public hearing so this can be explained to us?
We can definitely have a public hearing related to infrastructure. I think that would be a helpful thing. If the commission is approving of that, I think that would be a helpful.
I think honestly, I think we're talking about having those kinds of meetings anyway because of the impact that the project that we're doing downtown is going to have on our community as a whole. So I know those meetings are coming anyway, soon, hopefully.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I think it's the more public hearings we can have where everybody can voice their concerns and learn more, the better.
I don't want to move into this community and then find out all this jazz.
Thank you, Norma. Anybody else wish to make a public comment?
Actually, could I jump up? So I wanna say that, Anthony Hauser, 209 Main Street. So, actually, before I was a chef, I spent a lot of time working with grant programs in the state of Indiana with all my 82 counties. There are a crap ton of, there's a lot of owner-occupied rehab grant programs that are out there. I would be happy to put you in contact with some of the contacts that I've had in the past. Because I also agree with you guys, I'm at 302 Main, I just put a water filter system into my house. And I lived on well water and it was never that dirty. It's pretty pathetic what I had to do. And then to hear you guys say that we're going to raise the water bill 8% every year, I think we should have some sort of a good product for what we're paying for. Me as a chef, I have to give you a good product and you're gonna complain about it if it's not good. So I feel like I should have to get a good product, especially if we're going to need to raise the water bill by much. I do have some pictures of the water filter that I put in. I do have a double water filter system. It's pretty horrible on what we got for 30 days, roughly. And I just did another one. I'll take transitional photos so you guys can see what's up. So it's not too horrible. It's actually pretty bad. So, all right, thanks guys.
Appreciate it, thank you. Anyone else wish to make a public comment? Okay. Seeing none, city manager comments.
So there were a lot of public comments this evening that were issue specific that require follow-up, and I don't want anyone to leave this evening feeling like they don't know what their next steps are. So when you go to leave on that table, when you first came in where the agendas are, there are cards sitting out there. One of the cards sitting out is my own personal card. It has my number and my email address on there. I would encourage anyone who feels like they want some further clarification on anything or some help with additional next steps to please take that card, send me an email. You'll receive an auto reply back that indicates each department's contact information, so you can look on there and figure out who is the next best person to stay in touch with and reach out to them as well as myself, and I can try to provide further assistance to make sure that everyone gets their issues addressed. I don't want anyone to have their issue fall through the cracks, as it were. Generally, these meetings are a great way to share your information. I'm very pleased that you're coming, but again, I want to make sure that you're getting the follow through that you deserve. I wanna thank the commission for helping us get some important things through the agenda this evening. I think that I'm very excited to see the process for the redevelopment liquor license applications move forward. There's been several surveys done in Buchanan indicating that additional restaurants are really desired in the community. So I think that's a great next step to make that happen. That will also increase our economic development opportunities in Buchanan substantially to make us that destination center that we want people to view us as a place to come live, work, and play. And thank you all for your contributions to the community.
Commissioner Money?
I just wanna tell everyone that's here, it's good to see people coming out and expressing, you know, their concerns in Buchanan. I mean, we haven't had a lot of this since I've been here, and this is really good. The North Side neighborhood, you know, this commission has talked about that quite a bit, and what we need to do up at that end of town, and the things that we need to be taken care of up there, and appreciate Mr. Busby and Jeannie and Ms. Hines coming and, you know, just expressing their concerns along with Shelley, is it? Yeah. It's really great to get that interaction and let us know what's going on. So thank you. Want to give kudos to Mr. Baker back there. I don't know if anybody's been going through town, but early this morning, the DPW and the crews put up the new banners for the American Legion. So we've got our new veterans banners up. They worked early in the morning to accomplish the task, and we're back at work at 7 o'clock this morning, or 6:30, somewhere in there. I heard the mowers running across the street pretty early. So, thank you, Mike, for all of that. And I just wanna say, you know, this commission is working really hard to help the citizens, you know, within the town. And I just appreciate, you know, everything that they're doing, and thank you to the staff that's putting out all the good things that we're doing here. Thank you. Mr. Busby.
Yeah, I just wanna add one thing, and this is actually for Mr. Baker, because me and Mr. Baker had some conversations on the phone. And I just want you to let you know, anytime I call you, don't take it personal. It's nothing personal if I call and complain. Trust me, it's legit, because I don't want you to think I'm wasting your time and you wasting my time. If I get a little hostile, it's always gonna be professional. You ain't gonna never hear me yelling and cussing at anybody. Anybody knows me, know I don't operate like that, so just wanted to let you know that, personally, okay? Yeah.
And one other thing, congratulations, Harvey and Chief Gaines.
Commissioner Henry?
I believe the first time I saw custom computers in here, they were working on the system over here for the video and speakers and everything. So, was there any kind of finality on that? Did they guarantee their work? I'm just wondering, do we know where the problem is at? Well, not getting on channel 17 is the problem here.
Oh, no, it's the problem at Comcast.
Yeah.
Comcast will not approve switching the signal from standard definition to HD, and it's old standard definition, so when it comes across, it's illegible. You can't even read what we're writing on there, and it's so blurry, it's not, it doesn't work essentially.
Thank you. I believe on December 28th, for the first time, I started asking questions about Plant Moran. And I'm wondering when we're gonna get the information to finish out that little matrix that I started.
I have not heard yet back from them, so I will double check, get you an answer.
2 meetings ago, so about a month ago, I asked about some utility bills at the DPW building that was torn down. And I still haven't received any information as far as shut-off dates, final, I guess we'll have to go, final 4 months of invoices on those.
Okay.
done. Wanted everybody in the room to know blight enforcement in general, since it was a hot topic tonight, is a major focus of the commission, and recently passed an updated city ordinance, putting in place measures for us to start tackling those problems. So I'm incredibly confident in Chief Harvey Burnett and Tim Gaines on getting that acted upon and working with their group to start making an impact in that respect. The infrastructure report that you referenced earlier, your guys will make that available to them, but you'll find it pretty interesting. Northside is a tough area, so we had to take advice from the consulting group that presented that data. I believe it took them 5 years to compile that information. As part of that, there's a phased strategy on what areas we need to attack first and why, which is why we're looking at this 24 million or so project for the downtown, because that's like the vein, the aorta valve, or the aorta, and the oldest. But you are 100% correct. Northside is a very an important part that we have to address right behind that in some capacity. The hard part for us to figure out is each time we make investments into that, the water and sewer rates naturally will go up because of it, and there was no fund that was being saved for these replacements in the past, so it's a bit incredibly difficult, or minor saving, right? That's that ready served number on your bill. So we have a lot of difficulties because when we make those enhancements, it naturally will affect your water bill, and we're trying to mitigate as much of that as possible. So we are working with that report. Is available to you, and it's something you should see.
And now let us know how to access that report.
Yes, I'll be happy to follow up with you and send you that report.
It's a lot of reading.
That's
I'll
okay.
forewarn you.
I have time on my hands.
But you are correct. There is definitely, it's identified that we need to get that under control, and after this project, that's probably going to be in the conversation of what's next. Congratulations to Harvey. It's something we've talked about as a commission, as a street report over time here, and starting to figure out what streets we're going to tackle and when. Sounds like that's something we need to start working on if we're not already, so we can be a little more confident of this is when we plan to make enhancements to your streets, and you're on the docket for at this point. Okay, so that was it. Thank you for everybody. Truly appreciate the feedback tonight, even though it's not all compliments. That's still we need here. Thank you.
Short and sweet, thank you very much to everybody from the north side. I mean, the more often you come and the more that we hear the information that we need to hear and what the issues are, I mean, that is gold to us, because that's something that we and I have had discussions about many nights about what we can do for the north side. There's a lot of vacant lots, there's a lot of opportunity, and we truly believe that it's gonna take one thing or two things and it's gonna start to go in a positive direction, and it's better for everybody, right? And it makes everything improve. Dr. Harvey, appreciate your time and service. Thank you so much, and looking forward to your service as the chief. And Tim, from a safety perspective, as you as well. Thank you very much.
There was a lot thrown at us tonight, so I want to try and cover everything, but we'll start with thanking everybody for coming. It's really great to see you folks from the north side here. Appreciate you attending and giving us your thoughts. Just a couple things real quick. Somebody said something about the 8% on the water bills. Just so you understand, a couple of commissions ago, when they approved building the new oxidation dish, yeah, they had to agree to make the 8% increase every year as a way to pay for that. That was the only way we could get it done, so that's why that's there, just so you know. And just kind of broadly, like you said, you're on fixed income. That's kind of how we feel up here too. We have a city that is aging and that needs. It seems like every time we turn around, something's breaking, and we only have so much money. So, we have to figure out ways to make every dollar, stretch every dollar, and believe me when I say we're doing everything we can to get grants with, thanks to Heather and Rich specifically for working hard in that area. But we are looking under every rock we can to find money to try and get all these things done that we know need to be done. And I keep saying it to everybody who keeps telling me about the street issues. We know the streets are bad too. Now, a lot of these streets are going to get torn up in the next couple of years because we're going to redo the plumbing, the electrical, and everything that's underground. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to invest a lot of money in the streets and then have to turn around and tear them up. So we are trying to Band-Aid them, if you will, for the next couple of years. And that's just the reality of it. That's what we're trying to do. We don't want to waste money fixing the street just to have to turn around. So, so that's where we are on the street thing. I want to congratulate Harvey. We expect some singing at some of the city meetings, much like at the DARE graduations. I wanted to thank Heather for her work on the budget. I know that she had a lot of work in the budget, and then middle of the week last week, she got some new information dumped on her that made her have to pull an all-nighter before our Saturday meeting, and I appreciate her doing that. I want to thank all the city staff for all their work. They're doing a great job. And what else? I think that's it. I think that's all I have for now. With that, I would take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make said motion.
Thank you. Is there support?
This is my support.
Do we roll call?
Money,
Yes.
Swab,
Yes.
Dennison,
Yes.
Whedon,
Yes.
Down.
Yes.
It is. Every time I look over, I'm like,